Good evening and welcome to 15 Questions. My name is Marcel, and with me this evening are two beautiful young ladies, and so I let them introduce themselves to you. Go right ahead, ladies.
Okay, good evening to you. Good evening to your audience. My name is Eslyn Harris, known as Lady Eslyn. I am a trade unionist by profession and very friendly person. Very friendly person.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you very much,
Lady
Marcel,
Eslyn.
for having me on your program. My name is Marcia Forde. I baptized myself as the marvelous Marcia, and there is a reason for that. I believe that I am marvelous, if I may say so myself, but I am marvelous because a man died for me. Oh yes, I am to die for. I would have worked in the income tax arena for several years. Currently, I am working in healthcare.
All right. Thank you so much, and so good to have you, ladies. So here we go with your first question.
But before we get their first question, you notice we have a different thing tonight. Welcome, you beautiful people. Welcome to the Georgetown Tea House to 15 Questions. We're happy that you're here. All right. Before we go, let's talk to my friends. Let's talk to Tyrone and Uncle Augie, and they'll tell us a little bit about what they've been up to. All right. Uncle Augie, how was the week and then the weekend?
Oh, the week as usual was great. Had a good time. Everything's coming together. My reflection and then planning comes very well. Yesterday I actually did a wedding. I had to do the ceremony, the cocktail hour, and the reception. So it was a nice long day. But at the end, when somebody comes at the end of a function and asks for your cards, it's a good day.
All right then. And as a matter of fact, Uncle Augie, please, during the program, please put your info in the chat so that our friends can know that you do function. So once they're in the area, the New York, New Jersey area, they can reach out to you so that you can, provide your services at their function. All right. So please provide the information so that they know that Uncle Augie is the man to go. All right. Tyrone, what about you?
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again. Last weekend was a very nice weekend for me. I did some organization of some stuff, and also my brother came and checked me yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Terry. So once we meet together, it is just fun. We just talk and laugh all the time.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
I
I could imagine.
I always stay tuned, but you just love to laugh. He said, "What else there is to do in life?"
It's true. As soon as you see Terry face light up in a laughter.
Yeah, but I had a good time, a good weekend, and today was a very productive day for me. So I'm doing pretty well.
Okay. Well, I am excited to talk about my weekend. Usually, last week we were talking about the girls trip and thing, but I had a girls outing. I even shake my legs with my girlfriend like Mandy Innes and Zonafet David and Aduni Bascom and thing. We had some fun this weekend, so I'm excited. It was really, really good, and I am happy. I was happy to be out. So we had fun. So welcome, guys. I'm seeing Purpose Driven Arundella in the house and Nicole, Zonafet, and I'm seeing Eslyn herself is there. Eslyn, welcome. And Lindsay Vaughn and all the other people who are there. Guys, if you're there, you're here for the first time, please check in with us. Tell us your name and tell us where you're coming to us from. We want to know who is here with us, all right? So in addition to putting your name in there, saying good night to us so we know who is there, make sure you're sharing this live. Let them know that they're in for a treat. Last week, if you missed last week, then you miss out. Last week was awesome. All right. So go right ahead. Tell us where you're coming to us from, please. And then go right ahead and share the live. We're on YouTube as well at Let's Talk Caribbean. So for those of you who don't have, hey, Yasmin, good to see you, girlie. Thank you so much for joining. It's always a blessing to have you beautiful people with us. All right. So tonight, what are you drinking, guys? I am drinking swank. I have swank tonight, the good old swank, and I could taste the essence too. You know, loud essence.
Ouch.
And the place is hot. So tell us what you're drinking. Tell us where you're coming to us from. And we'll be right back. Okay, so here, one time into the first question.
So,
Okay, we are back. And here is question 1 and 2.
Can a young boy reading the Bible receive proper instructions on how to be a man?
Oh, yes, but it calls for more than reading, because sometimes we read and not understand, cannot interpret, but let's assume that the young man is at the level where he can interpret what is written in the Bible. Yes, clear guidance, clear guideline, a step-by-step approach, a blow-by-blow account of some of the things he needs to do, what he needs to refrain from, and where he should seek wise counsel.
All right. Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Marcia, should the Bible be updated, taking into account the drastic ways in which life has changed since the death and resurrection of the Christ?
I want to say an emphatic no. The reason why I would say no, because even though the Bible would have been put together and written since way back when, those things are still relevant and applicable. And even though the Bible may not say specifically, let's say, don't cut your hair, for example, there is something that in the Bible will speak to that particular thing. So even as the world evolves, life changes drastically in whatever which way, because the Bible was inspirational and it's already given, the scripture tells me that the word is already forever settled in heaven. And I was taught from since a small baby Christian to never to add or to subtract. And if I'm not adding or subtracting, there's no updating to the scriptures.
Okay, I hear you, girl. Loud and clear.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. you are at the Georgetown Tea House. With us this evening, we have Tyronello, and Uncle Augie. Please, folks, remember to like and share, tell a friend, grab a drink, and sit and relax with us. All right. Tyrone, as someone who would have grown up in the church from small boy days, would you say that the Bible, if a young man reads the Bible and use that as his light, that it has everything in terms of making him into a proper man? Are you muted?
Yeah, sorry about that. I want to go on the other side and say not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. If I use the men in the Bible as my standard, then my principles will be like shifting sand. I cannot use Solomon as my standard of what it means to be a man. That means I'll go down the road of Solomon. I cannot use David as my standard. So my thing is, my standard would always be God. God's my standard. And reading the Bible, I would try to see how God expects me, or how he wants me to be a man. And so my definition of what it means to be a man will have to come from God, not the men of the Bible.
Andy, muted.
Augie, what's your take?
Okay. Well, I would have to take the other side of that and say yes, because the Bible has everything that is needed to become a proper man of God. When we look at the story, if we use David, we use Solomon. When you're reading, if you read from the beginning, then you see where they were. After you get to the end of how they ended up and why they ended up, then you could now say, you know what? That's a good example of what I'm not supposed to do. So when you take it from that perspective, then yes, the Bible has everything you need in which to become a good and proper man. And as the Holy Spirit is there to give you understanding and help you to interpret what you need to interpret,
right.
I would say definitely it's better than talking to somebody other than God.
Okay. And Augie, still with you. Given the internet, given the tech age, given how life has changed in so many ways, do you think that there's any part of the Bible that we should update?
Well, given that man thinks they're smart, that's the reason for updates, because they did not put what needed to be put into that device in the beginning. So knowing God as the creator, he put every single thing in there that is needed, not wanted, but needed.
Okay. What's your take on that, Tyrone?
If I just backtrack a bit, David and those men, they knew what it means to be a man from God himself. So that's why I said my standard is God, not the men of the Bible. In terms of what needs to change, principles don't change.
Right.
Okay.
And what God outlined in the Bible is basically the principles of good living, the principle of living a quality life as both male and as a man and a woman. And once those principles are understood, they transcend culture, they transcend era, they transcend generation. Once those principles are there. And for example, there was this debate, if a woman does artificial insemination, what sin did she commit? But that's for all the discussion. That's technology for you. That is technology for you. Should the Bible include something that will deal with that aspect of technology? It is right there. You just have to look a little deeper and see the principles outlined in what God said in his word, and use the principles across generation.
Okay, thank you there. All right, folks, you're watching 15 questions at the Georgetown Tea House. As my co-host would say, please like, share, tell a friend, and we'll be continuing with our guests, Marvelous Marcia and Lady Eslyn.
Lady Eslyn,
Yes.
tell us about 2 things you can't stand about men.
Wow. I have a series of those, but you asked for 2.
Only 2.
I can't stand a liar man. I like a man who is upright and forthright. Upfront and forthright. I don't like a man who gossips, talks about a woman you would have been with. Those 2 things for me stand out. Yeah, I don't need to know what transpired between you and the last girlfriend you had. Because I figure if you're saying this to me, I figure if it doesn't work out here, you would say to whomever. And I believe you should be truthful. You should be truthful from the onset. You know, I always say half truth is a whole lie. So, yes, a half truth is a whole lie. So yes, I can't stand those.
Okay. All right. Marcia,
Right.
tell us 2 things you can't stand about a woman.
About a woman. Wow. I was really hoping you were going to ask me what I can't stand about men. So,
Got you. You are ready now. Got you.
what can't I not stand about women? I guess the gossiping, the talk name, we say back home, the he say, she say kind of. I don't like that. I can't stand that. I prefer them not to get involved in that. But for some reason, they do get involved in that most of the time. So this bring them by. He says, she said, I can't stand about them. And I can't stand another woman talking down about another woman who is looking good. So instead of you saying,
me now.
Girl, I love your necklace. Girl, you look fly. You look good. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Somebody who is
a friend, you rock that dress. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand a sister or a woman who's gonna just criticize another one instead of saying, well, you look nice. I can't stand that.
All right. Yes. Uplift each other.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
No word is wrong. I'm gonna be there.
Interesting there. Right. Tyrone, it was interesting that both in response, one is responding to name 2 things you don't like about men, and the other name 2 things you don't like about women. And they each spoke about gossiping, talk name. What's your take on that?
I think in terms of gossiping and that's a no-no. That's a no-no. There's a song that says if you don't have anything to say good about somebody, then just shut up. And if you're going to talk about somebody to bring them down, to make you feel good and to make you look good in the eyes of the others, then that is an issue in that.
But isn't there okay? There is gossiping where people show a lot of derogatory comments and so on. But then there's I guess everyone at some point talks about somebody's name. All right. So would you say it's all bad?
It depends on the context in which the conversation is being held. All right. Because you can talk about somebody in a positive way. But gossiping carries a negative connotation whenever you hear the word. So when you speak about somebody in their absence and something good is being spoken, then that is okay. But if you talk something negative about somebody, and by the way, speaking the truth can also be a part of gossiping.
Okay, I got you.
The purpose of speaking the truth.
All right. Cleon, welcome aboard. Always good to see you. Yeah, so Augie, both of our guests, they had difficulty with people talking name. What's your own 2 cents on that?
Well, you see, I don't really see a positive in talking names, even in my conversations now that I'm older and wiser. I will have a conversation about incident without bringing up a name because you may need help on the situation. But when you start to bring up the names, now they have a face to put it to, and that could cause ill feelings or somebody to look upon somebody else completely different. So just because it's the truth doesn't mean that you could speak it, especially knowing if the person that is being spoken about could end up being hurt in any way, shape, or form. So anything that we say, we must do it in love. And look at this, as Tyrone just said a moment ago, look at what is the end result. What is it that you want to achieve by talking about this person? Are you talking to the person that you're speaking to? Are they going to be able to help this person get better with the situation?
Okay. Cleon, what about that individual, who always gets on everybody nerves, always aggravating you, and they always seem that that their life is above and beyond everybody else's. Their life is perfect, right? And then one day you see their significant other, their spouse, with someone else. Isn't that sweet news? Is that the kind of thing you like to go, grab your phone and call? Hey, did you see? What's your take, Cleon?
It's not good to rejoice when people are getting the bitter end of their stick that they were feeding other people with. But I do know for the sensitization of people, they will be happy to share that information whether they are Christian or not. And the reason why I say Christian or not, because some people may be like, not thinking through it thoroughly, and may share information, it's good for her because she always thinking that she's better than somebody else. And that's why old people say you don't throw stones when you have glass windows, because you don't know whatever goes around comes around. And then people who believe in karma and all of these things, they may have all of that to say to and about the individual. But I don't think it is wise, whether you are a believer or non-believer, to rejoice in someone's dilemma, because you never know what is your plot in life.
Okay, great point. You're watching 15 Questions at the Georgetown Tea House. Our guests this evening are Marvelous, Marcia, and Lady Eslyn.
Marcia, tell us of a situation you would use to define the meaning of I pass.
Now, if I'm in the public transport, I'm in the minibus traveling on the East Coast, the West Coast, wherever I'm going, and the conductor is going to sit next to me and pretend his hand is falling near my lady bits or on my thigh, on my leg, or he's going to pretend to open the window to jam my tits, that is I pass. That for me is total I pass.
That's I pass. Lady Eslyn?
Yes. Let's say I am going down the street and I happen to recognize a male that I know and I know well. Perhaps it's a brother who's, trying a thing. Right. And he sees me like from a half a block away. And he starts to call, Eslyn, 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 Eslyn. I mean, his eyes went way past me. It's more than I passed, because nobody addresses me like that. And more so in the public domain to be shouting my name like that, knowing that he's trying to, to establish some sort of friendship and so on. That is total I pass for me.
Okay. All
And it
right.
borders on disrespect.
I,
Clear when last somebody make nice pass you why?
Nobody
And,
won't
and,
dare
and,
try.
and how you dealt with them?
Nobody won't dare try doing that because, like Eslyn, if you see me in the street, I don't care who you be. Do not shout for me. And I usually say to my friends, do not shout from a moving vehicle. It's very ghetto fabulous. It's not a part of my world. I can be loud and I can be very passive at the same time. But I don't like the fact that people are shouting for each other on the street. It just not my kind of thing. My own family members would have tried it even when I was in New York, and they
Right,
say,
right.
"I didn't even know you were here," and they're shouting for me like, "But you didn't even look back and say, well, it's me." I'd be like, "You were actually shouting for me." I can't remember hearing anybody shouting. Even though I know I heard somebody shouting, I will not look around. So yeah, so that's how I deal with it. I just will not respond.
You won't respond. All right. Augie, well, I know you didn't grow up too much in GT, so I guess a phrase like "I pass" is not something you would have heard regularly, right? But what comes to mind when you hear the word "I pass"?
That phrase was a regular phrase coming up. Even though in England, I may have been born in England, but I was raised in a full Guyanese house. So the biggest thing for me would be, depending on where I am, like in my house now, for you to come in my yard and call my name rather than press the bell or use the phone, that's a big no, 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 no. I will leave you outside. It doesn't matter who you are. You staying outside. Even if you do decide later on to call, I'm not letting you in. You got to make a whole full day pass before I let you in. That is what I call sincere I pass.
You're full English brother, call me. Tyrone, tell Augie, man, in GT, I visited Tyrone, I go in Victoria, I go by the gate and I say, Tyrone, open, what's your take, Tyrone?
That's where country people.
I don't see that as iPads. That's how we greet each other. Especially in Victoria, that's how we do things. But I think is for me, iPass is doing something deliberately that you know for sure that I do not like. I give it a heads up. Here, don't ever do this in public. Don't ever try to embarrass me in public. And you deliberately do it. That's what I anything that falls under that bracket for me is I pass.
Well, maybe I should add on to that because those that know me are the ones I'm talking about. If this is your first time coming into my yard, by all means, or you're driving past, you hail me up, that's no big deal. But
if
you know the number, you know the bell, you don't have no, yeah, that's a whole different ball game.
Whether you know me or you don't know me personally, do not shout for my name in public. Even if you're in a moving vehicle, worse yet, don't shout out my name, because I will stand there and look at you like if I never saw you before. Stop your vehicle, come out and have a conversation with me.
Tyrone, someone mentioned children calling adults full mouth. You know the term, right?
Yeah.
We're in a different era. What would you say about that?
I think the respect should still be there, even if you call people by their first name. You should put a handle on it, as you would say. Put a handle on it,
Okay.
Mister or Miss.
Or Miss. All right.
Yeah, Mister or Miss. But I think in the time that we live, in certain profession, they would ask you to call them by their first name.
Right.
All right, in certain profession. So I guess it depends on the conversation, the context of whatever it is. But for a student, as a teacher, for a student to be calling you by their full name, I see that as a means of disrespect.
Yeah. Okay. I pass, so to speak. All right. You're on to 15 questions at the Georgetown Tea House. Please continue to like and share the broadcast.
So, Marcia, can a Christian man also be an Obia man?
Marcel, thank you so much for that question. Now, first of all, I want to say Christian man and Obia man being one and the same person, for me, is an oxymoron. It's not supposed to be. You either or. However, I will not put my head and bury as an ostrich pretending that some quote unquote Christian men do not intertwine with the occult world. I would not pretend it doesn't happen.
Okay.
And so there are some men, especially, and if I'm going to offend anyone, too bad, but especially some pastors, and especially from a certain corner of the world, where they go to the Obia man, the witchcraft persons, whatever, to get these secret powers to use on and in their congregation. And like I said from the beginning, it's an oxymoron. You can't be this and that at the same time. Sweet, and according to the scripture, sweet and sour water cannot flow from the same fountain.
Okay.
So I'm an Obia man and I'm a Christian. Why, Augie, why would that be an issue? I tell you I'm an Obia man, but I'm also a believer in Christ. Why do you think that'd be an issue?
Well, you can believe that there is a Christ, but if you really believe in him, that's a whole different ball game. You can't be an Obia man and a Christian at the same time. That's nah.
Can be. All right.
No.
You're saying Cleon.
It really can't fit into the same boat because you can't have two names legally. Understanding what I'm trying to say, you can't be identified as a Christian and want to also be identified as a occultic worker, as persons would call it. For those who might trying to be figuring out what is an Obia man. But no, the two worlds do not have the same blueprint for what their beliefs are. So that, and if persons are involved in it and saying that they're Christians, work out your salvation for me, please.
Tyrone, Obia man and a Christian, can they work together?
Light and darkness can't mix. It's either you believe in God or you don't believe in God, because we call them people with familiar spirits. When they go to do their stuff, who are they going to? And I get from the question, we're talking about somebody who's practicing this thing, somebody who lives in it. Because I was about to ask the question, if an adulterer is a Christian also, or if an adulteress, somebody who's living in that condition, that situation, can also be called a Christian. Just putting some mud in the water. However, in terms of familiar spirits, people who have Christ, God said is clear in his words, do not seek people after familiar spirits, because their powers do not come from him. So we can't seek power from God and seek power from the devil all at the same time. They're diametrically opposing to each other. So Christians and Obia man, they can't go together. They can't go in the same sentence. They can't work together.
Okay. Cleon, I saw you wanted to say something a few seconds ago.
I was just going to say, well, the act of extramarital affair or the act of premarital sex or the act of stealing, those are just the actions that are being done. It's not that you're going after, that action is not being done. Let me see how careful I can say this, with the intention of seeking any supernatural powers. You are still a Christian who may struggle with fornication or adultery or lying or stealing. That's just a sin. But to continue to be dabbling in it, it's a different spectrum you're going on. But however, like Tyrone rightly said, one who is seeking powers from another source other than God, they really can be in the same bracket, because the one who makes a fall by the sin that they commit need to seek God, who is their source, to redeem them. So not because I lie today, I'm no longer Christian.
Okay. Quick question, Cleon. You're a Christian.
Yes,
I'm an Obeah man. Can we be good friends?
I'll still talk to you like normal.
Mm-hmm. But
for the mere fact that the Bible reminds us it is the goodness of the Lord that leads people to repentance. Mm-hmm. So while everyone else may be shunning you or may be anti you, I am not going to be the person who is going to indulge in your practices or indulge in your sessions that you may have. But me saying morning and good afternoon to you and talking to you as a neighbor or whatever the case may be, I don't see absolutely nothing wrong with that. If I am not sure as to who I really believe in, I may have difficulties in continuing the conversation or having the open friendship with you, because I talk to people of all sorts of walks of life. And they say, but you're Christian and you talk to me. I say, well, Jesus spoke to every single person that was on the earth. Was he always liming with them? Was he confirmed by them? No, he transformed wherever he went so that people can understand who he is. I don't need to be running from people who may be of a different religious persuasion than I am.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for that, Cleon. Tyrone, as you listen to our two guests, Marvelous Marcia, Lady Eslyn, where in Guyana do you see these women as, coming from?
I think, if I got it correctly, Marcia sounds like if she's from the East Coast region.
East Coast as in East Coast Demerara?
Yeah, East Coast Demerara. Yeah, sorry,
okay.
East Coast Demerara. And I am not able to figure out
Lady Eslyn.
Lady Eslyn.
Yeah. What about her? What about Lady Eslyn? You think might make it difficult to pinpoint? Where in Guyana this woman is from?
She doesn't seem to be coming from the capital city.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe from the outskirts.
From the outskirts.
Yes.
All right.
She seems as the one on the top seems with the orange seems as though she's from Linden.
From Linden.
The other one seems as she's from the west coast of Demerara. I float them country area going down into the river.
Going towards the Scribble.
Yeah.
All right.
That's where I put the two of them from.
You're watching 15 Questions at the Georgetown Tea House.
Lady Eslyn, a nice, easy one for you. What's your favorite fruit?
Easy. Mangoes.
Mangoes. What about that delicious fruit?
For some reason, I think it's the natural sugar in the mangoes.
Okay.
And I guess it's easily accessible, but it's my favorite.
Okay. Have you had different types throughout your life? How many species would you say you had?
Let me see. I had Julie mangoes. I had the Buxton spice. I had the long mangoes. I had the what do you call it? Buck mangoes. I think it's a big mango red.
Yes. Look a
And
little
there's
purple
our
on one
mango.
side.
Yes, yes. And I had the familiar one we see in Guyana all the time, spice mangoes.
Okay. But it's, yeah, okay. All right.
About
Cool.
5, yeah.
All right. Marcia, what's your favorite flour-based food item?
I want to say roti, not puri with a bit of peas inside, but just a plain bus up shot clapper roti.
Yes.
That would be my favorite flour-based
Okay.
food item.
Okay. Can you make it?
Of course, I can.
I mean, Marcy, don't tell me, but yes, I can because this is
No,
this is
I was
we're
about to
live on
I
live.
was about to qualify my statement.
Okay,
Of
please
course, I
do.
can. But the question is, do I? So I do from time to time, but not a lot of time. But I can. I can make roti. Nice too.
Nice and soft and mellow.
Not only melon soft, but with the correct shape. I don't do the African map and all of that. I just
Okay, lady, I think she's showing up. She's showing out now. I just put a leg and and now she's shaking her whole foot. All right.
So Cleon, she still sound like she come from going towards SCP over there, from iFlat and thing.
Even though she mentioned bus up shot, which is a Trinidadian terminology for roti, I still don't think she's from Trinidad. I know she's Guyanese, and I know she's from somewhere on the West Coast.
Somewhere on the West Coast. All
If
right.
not there, she's from Berbice.
That would be my answer. New Amsterdam.
Okay, Augie, you said New Amsterdam.
I would say yes. Especially with the story with the minibus, I say yeah.
Okay, okay.
Pretty much like it.
All right. The marvelous. Have you ever approached a man you were interested in?
If you mean if I've approached him, maybe to make it known to him.
Yes.
No. But if to approach him to chit chat, whatever, to stay close, yes. But to make it known to him, no, because I guess from my old school, we were taught as the men back in the time. The men were the ones to approach us. So for me to go tell you, no, I wait on him.
See, you breaking no barriers.
Oh no, I'm already past that stage. I'm stuck in my ways. Sorry,
Lady Eslyn, honestly.
Oh.
So, Lady Eslyn, I have to ask. You never approached a guy that you're interested in, you know?
Oh yes. Not in the forthright way, but I would have devised some plan, some means, some methodology to get close to him and to say something to him.
To make it known.
Oh yes, I'd say you're such a good-looking fellow. It would be good for us to talk. Something of that nature. It's not a regular occurrence, but I mean, It's like if I see a good-looking brother, I go across and say, "You're a good-looking gentleman,"
Yeah.
She from Linden. She definitely from Linden in my book. Linden women don't play.
Well, Lady Eslyn was just telling us that Marcia, the one at the bottom, she comes from New Amsterdam. So I think Augie, you said that a while back. Cleon, are you comfortable with a woman? She looks across your way, says, "Hey, this is a handsome guy. I would like to get to know him." Are you comfortable with a woman approaching you?
No problem. It's better for me because if I'm not interested in you, I'll tell you plain and straight. It's really nice compliments, but
you're married.
Or even before I was married, I'd be like, nice compliment, but I don't think that you are the person that I would want to be with. But I would be a good friend to you. That's about it.
What about you, Tyrone?
Yeah, I will I will accept the compliment and the compliment, and I will take it from there. If it's somebody that I know for a long time, then that's a different story. Or it may very well be that somebody I also had my eyes on, but
Right.
never had the opportunity of seeing anything. So it just makes my work easier.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Augie? You're okay with being approached?
Yes, I mean, approaching is not a problem. I'll talk to anybody at any time. Doesn't matter to me. Married, unmarried, it doesn't matter. I'll talk to you, but how far you will get depends on what you say.
Depends on what you say.
Exactly.
I think it's in place for women to compliment men.
Okay.
It is definitely in place. There's nothing wrong with it. And even if they want to go further, I think if you're going further, do not be too aggressive. But just be mild in your approach, measured. Take a measured approach.
That's a lot, and that's very specific there, Tyrone.
Yeah.
So would you say that men tend to be intimidated by the aggressive female? Would we run and scurry from the aggressive female?
Not necessarily, It depends. It depends on who you're dealing with. Some men love aggression. So when two aggressive person collide, that's trouble. All right. Some men love aggression. Some men prefer for the women to be more measured in their approach. Aggression to some men might be a turn off. To others, so I guess it depends on the person that you're dealing with.
Okay.
And women are so smart. Women are so smart that they absorb you a long time before they make a move. So they already assess you and know exactly how to approach you and what type of person you are, so they will know what to do.
Okay. Cleon, as you look back at your own life, who would get your attention? The aggressive female, or the one who, as Tyrone describes, is measured in her approach?
Both, because the aggressive person may come across like that because they want to see, as Tyrone rightly said, they study you sometimes to figure out how are you going to respond to them. And then the same person who may be allegedly be measured in their approach, come see me and come live with me, it's two different things, becomes the aggressive person overnight. Because they were just waiting to get their claws in you. So for me, I was always open to, if you this or if you're not that, because I'm not the type of person to say, oh, well, this woman too loud, so we can't really think. Because I could be loud when I want to be loud. And I would want somebody to laugh with me just as how I could laugh, like normal, and don't really care if anybody's around. But at the same time, not putting a limit on an individual so that I don't shortchange myself of who I'm going to meet. Because my wife is very, very reserved when she goes out, the measured one. But when she home, she would laugh and do everything like a normal aggressive person would. But when she's in public, it's the monarchy. And when you're at home, it's the savages, I would want to put it like that or whatever. But in a good way.
Augie, one of our viewers, Beverly Barry, she's saying some men too full of themselves. Sorry, we think Beverly talking about there, Augie.
Just like some of them women, out of place and out of timing.
Well, I mean, she's saying that I mean, I have a comment saying that sometimes I look at people and I say, well, you know what? I would even look at some pastors and say, you know what? He and his wife in love with the same man. And that's just how some people are. But I mean, to each his own. Some women like that. I know I'm personally not like that. But if that's what you like, that's what you go for.
All right. You're watching 15 Questions at the Georgetown Tea House. Our guests this evening are marvelous Marcia and Lady Eslyn.
Marcia, back to you. When did you last sin? And what led to it?
You know, I just love your questions. Let me just say that. I love your questions. And I realized this week today that you really want to have me fried, dry, and crisp. So you're really hauling me over the coals. But nevertheless,
I am.
I have sinned. So I'll tell you what, let me just start by saying that sin, sin is sin, as we all would say, but there are different categories of sin too. You have sin of omission, sin of commission, presumptuous sin, you knowingly doing a sin, you sin by not even being conscious that you're sinning. So, based on all of that, I mean, because we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity, I believe that I might even be sinning now. I mean, because like I said, there's some sins you're not conscious of. But what I want to say, while I can't just pinpoint a presumptuous sin I done lately or so, what I do want to say that because there's something of unconscious sin or a sin I'm not maybe aware of, what I always do on a constant basis, I always have a cleansing time before God. So God, whatever sin, whether it's the one I wasn't aware of or I did deliberately or whatever, cleanse me. So whether I sin 2 seconds ago or 2 seconds to come, I will always ask God to clean me and have a clean heart, just like the psalmist says.
Okay, Marcia. I heard you.
Tyrone, she answered that question like a politician. I mean, she didn't even respond to the question itself, but she seemed to have given an answer. What's your take?
Judith, I did not hear most of her answers, but the question has to do with when I said you sin.
Right,
I normally say sin lives in me.
Okay.
Sin lives in me, so half a second ago I sinned.
Right.
And
I got to that.
I don't count sin when I sin and when I didn't sin and when I sin. Whatever I do, everything else, even my righteousness, they're like filthy rags in God's sight. So in and of myself, sin lives in me.
Okay, I got you. Your take, Leon.
She didn't answer the question. She evaded the question very, very tactfully.
Yes, I felt she was a good politician.
But to say, I think me oversleeping this afternoon because of the rain, forgetting the time to come on the program, would have been the sin that I just committed. Knowing that I would have spoken to Marcel earlier about the time for the show, and then I decided that I'm going to go iron and start dinner at the same time. So that would be my sin.
That would be your sin. Any sin you want to talk about, Uncle Augie?
I don't pay attention to the amount of breaths that I breathe every single day, as they are numbered only by God. So the sins that I have every day, I don't count those. I can only try. So I wouldn't know the last one that I did.
This question is bringing out a lot of politicians, man. Interesting. You're watching 15 Questions at the Georgetown Tea House.
Marcia, can a woman who doesn't know how to cook and clean ever be a good and worthy wife?
Oh my. Well, you know what? I'm laughing because I can see you going over your questions and you say, let me pick the hard ones for Marcia. But girl, I don't mind. Because I tell you what, if a woman can cook and clean, she can still be a good wife. Because when you come into you said wife, which means you come into a marriage. A marriage, not a woman alone. She's coming to an husband. There are some men, I will tell you, they can throw down in a kitchen. You see? So if the woman can cook and the man can cook, remember, a marriage is not 50-50. It's I helping you, you helping me. So if I can cook and I can prepare the nice meals and you can do it, then come on, help us sister out here. But it doesn't mean I'm not fit for marriage because I can't cook or I don't clean regularly. Sometimes, let me just tell you, I will make the bed. But if, as I will tell you too, if my husband makes the bed, it is the neatest, well-made bed, do whatever it is when it compares to mine. Because he can do that well. And again, I think about can confirm that when he cooks a pot, it is well cooked. And sometimes he will say, girl, I think I get it better than you. Which is all fine. I may not be the best cook or the best cleaner, and a woman don't have to be the best cook. You don't, my point is, you don't have to be Betty Cooper. You don't have to be the maid to become a wife. Being a wife goes beyond cooking and cleaning. I want to say that very clearly. Cooking and cleaning does not define you as a wife. It goes beyond that. Thank you.
Okay, Lady Eslyn, do you share Marcia's views?
Oh, certainly. She might not be the best cook, the best cleaner, but she might be the best in terms of our I don't want to say nocturnal activities or bedroom activities. She might be best. Yes, and please, I hope I'm not out of order.
No, you're not. Go ahead.
Okay,
Talk to us.
she might be best with our bedroom activities, and the husband might be the cook. So to say that not being a good cook or cleaner doesn't make you a good wife or will make you a good wife, no. I'm sure she will have other strong points, that she can deliver.
Okay.
All right. Tyrone, one of our viewers said that if the prerequisite for a good wife is cooking and cleaning, then you're looking for you're not looking for a wife, you're looking for a maid. What say you, Tyrone?
I would disagree with that statement, And I would disagree with that statement on this premise. Cooking and cleaning says a lot about the individual. More than it says about the person who wants somebody to cook and clean.
Mm-hmm.
Because cleanliness is next to godliness. We all know that.
That's an interesting spin on it. Go ahead.
I am not saying that cooking should be the main thing. But what I'm saying, it tells you a lot about individuals. And while I was listening to the response, a question came to mind. What was happening between the ages of 10 and 32 or 35? Didn't this individual have in mind to become a wife? Did the individual think of what happens in a marriage?
Serious.
What happens in a marriage? Preparing for preparing to be a wife, for me, in my opinion, doesn't begin at age 20 or 25. It should begin from an early age. Likewise, for the male, preparing for marriage begins at an early age. What happens between that time? So I look at it from a perspective of what does it say about the person themselves? Because if I like a clean place, all right, and the person doesn't know how to clean from age 11 to 35, then there's something that's missing.
Okay.
All right. So I look at it from that perspective. It tells about the individual's personality.
All right. Cleon, I see you opening your eyes at some of the comments there.
Well, I want to let Tyrone know that Tyrone, I gonna be on women's side for tonight. Tyrone said, if you know that I like a clean place. Well, if you know that you like a clean place, then clean it yourself. Because I tell my wife
No,
the
that's
same
not
thing.
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, brother Chris.
And I do agree with you. Yes, people should know to cook and clean, but those should not be the prerequisites for you being ready for marriage.
Mhm.
Because if you are getting married to a career type of individual who is not so much fancy on doing those things, but is able to make enough money that you can be able to have a maid, doesn't necessarily mean that the person needs to know how to cook. And then this is from another cultural perspective again. Because in Jamaica, before I got married to my wife mother would usually say to her, you need to learn how to do this, you need to learn how to do that, because if you don't know how to do XYZ, people are going to take him. And I said, I'm not marrying my wife because she must make breakfast in the morning or it's mandatory. That is how people have been cultured throughout the Caribbean. That as a woman, if you don't know how to do these things, and I think it was psychological trauma they were instilling in people's life, in my opinion, subject to correction by the psychologists. But I don't honestly believe that a woman needs to know how to cook and clean in order to get married. That's just my opinion. I do believe that the two persons can work together in learning how to do certain things, because the way you might clean is different from how the person may consider clean to be cleaning it, and what you might call cooking is different from what somebody else might call cooking. So in my house, I do the cooking. My wife does the cleaning because I don't like the cleaning part. But the cooking part, I know it's not your strong point, so it's not a problem for me. I love it. I enjoy it. Sometimes I may say, you want to come and see how I'm doing something now? And she'll be like, nah. And I'll be like, but you're sure you don't want to just see one time? And then she'll be like, come, just look 2 seconds. I knew that before I got into it. And it is still not a problem for me, but I don't think people should be, especially Caribbean men, should be wanting to get married to somebody for them to provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them, and they can't do anything. Vice versa.
Now, if I may respond to Cleon, there's a difference in not cooking or not knowing to cook or clean and learning to cook or clean. There's a difference in that. Secondly, I'm not saying that the main focus should be cooking and cleaning or marrying somebody to cook and clean. What I'm saying is this. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. That cleaning, for example, you work in an office and you look at somebody's office space. You can tell a lot about the person by looking at the office space. Some people can tell a lot about them. You can come into somebody's home and tell a lot about the person's personality from looking at the environment. So from that perspective, I'm suggesting that cleaning is important because it tells a lot about the person's personality that you're going to get married to.
Okay. Tyrone, a lot of people coming to blows with you on this one.
I know. I'm ready for them.
Augie, what's your take, my brother?
My take on this is cooking. Well, my prerequisite is communication. So if you're coming into a relationship with me and you don't know how to cook, that's one thing. But if you know that me being able to eat and work and all these other good things, you can still have a desire to make sure that when he leaves here, I want to make sure he has a full stomach. I want to take some of the pressure off. So knowing how to cook it shouldn't be a burden. You should want to do this. You should want to keep a clean house. These are these are desires that you should have. But the communication in the beginning A simple conversation. Listen, baby, you know what? I don't know how to cook. But since you know how to cook, I'm willing to learn. You can teach me. Simple conversation. Simple answer.
No, I've seen a whole lot of questions there. Would I have a chance to
Tyrone.
respond? Because somebody asked a question about women who go to work and so on. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that women should do all the cooking and all the cleaning. I am not saying that. All I'm saying is that knowing a woman not knowing to clean, especially clean, and it goes to men too, it says a lot about the personality of the person. Sometimes if you go into a guy's room, you can tell if the guy is somebody who is well organized or is disorganized, because the environment says a lot about the person who stays in the environment. So from that perspective, I think knowing how to clean is important because it says a lot about the person's personality and how they do things. And if you know that, as Uncle Ogie said, if you know that from the beginning, the person cannot clean, then you will know what type of individual you're dealing with. And you can work together. So for me, cleaning is very important. But for the main fact that it says a lot about the personality of the person.
All right. I think this is going to have to be a topic all on its own at the Georgetown Tea House. You know, I see a lot of people are very fired up. Anyway, you're watching 15 Questions at the Georgetown Tea House. Our guests this evening are the marvelous Marcia and Lady Eslyn. We move forward.
All right, ladies. Moving on. Lady Eslyn, this is for you. Have you ever been tempted to shoplift?
Oh no! Actually, I remember when I visited Suriname, I think it was for the first time. I was amazed when I saw for the first time how shoplifting is being done. I mean, women, I'm standing there and I'm seeing these moves. I'm like, wow, never, never. I am too concerned about my character to even conceptualize the idea. And not only for family and professional engagement, I have friends who would literally haul me over the coals. They would literally shake me. You know, if I say to them, you know what I'm thinking about? You know, Pastor, my mind, I can go into that store. I see there's room there for me to shoplift. I can't do that. So it's more than, even if the thought comes along, I have to think beyond that. Because as I said, outside of my family and professional engagement, I have some friends which shake sense into my head once I share that with them. So it's a no-no. It's a no-no.
Marcia, nice easy one. Where do you buy your groceries and why?
All right. So I tell you what. In Guyana, I used to go to Nigel supermarket in Robb Street, right? The reason why I used to go there, because they had parking, and then I can take the cart out to the car. It was easy because it's easier for me. The pricing also was a very good factor because it was priced within the usual range.
Okay.
Currently, where I buy my groceries, I don't buy groceries. I don't do grocery shopping. My honey, he does all of that.
So when the groceries come home, you pack them away in the cupboards and the like.
Sometimes if I'm in the mood, I unpack them. Because I would say to him, "When you bought them, pack them," you know.
Yes,
but sometimes I would assist by packing.
This girl got life in London, Eslyn.
I am telling
No, it's
you.
not London. It's a different part of the world, though.
I just love Trevor.
Okay, life in Canada.
Yes. Trevor's a
Yes,
good guy.
and yes, he is. He's definitely a darling.
Okay. You see, some women are lucky.
Yes.
Some women are lucky.
Present.
All right.
Welcome. Hello, guys. You guys had me really cracking up with some of the responses and saying, "Ooh, look at Sandra Bart on fire tonight. Look at Abigail McDonald and Vanessa and all these people on fire, Tyrone." You know, they just had you. They just really chew you up. There. Usually, it is usually Cleon who people come for. You know, but look at even my friend Ruth Gates is in the house. Thank you for joining us tonight, Ruth. That question about the food, man, cooking and cleaning. I mean, but Tyrone, man, I got what you're saying in terms of the fact that you have to have certain qualities. You have to be able to, you know, you don't want the house to be too dirty. I mean, she ain't focusing on cooking and cleaning. That's not who you're marrying. That's not what you want. But at least you must, you know, keep the place smelling really nice, you know, because I like a nice smelling house as well, a nice clean smelling house.
Marcel,
You know.
I want to ask you a question. Would you marry somebody who doesn't like to bathe? We talking about
No.
There we go. Should that be a prerequisite?
Well, you tried it. I know more man, and I don't live in an aquarium.
Okay, right. But it says, but it doesn't make you a bad wife, or you know, it's not a prerequisite to be a good wife. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the other two questions. Lady Eslyn talking about the luxury of being shopped for, you know, not having to go into the grocery and walk through the aisles and picking up stuff. I don't like doing it. You know, that's not my cup of tea at all. You know, so I'm one of those people who don't go grocery shopping. So I like Marcia is privileged in that sense. But Tyrone, what's your take?
I don't like shopping. I just don't like shopping.
We said it before.
Oh,
Yep. So if I go to the supermarket, whatever I see in the first place, I'll buy it.
Also.
I compare is well of late, because of COVID situation and prices increased and so on. I find myself checking prices, checking expiry dates and so on and so forth. So, but I don't like shopping.
Uncle Augie, what about you? You do the shopping?
I'm the shopper when it comes to what's needed. So yes, Costco, BJ's, I'll occasional shop right or whatever for what's needed. Yes, but handbags, shoes, shirts, and them kind of things, no. I go in, grab what I got to get, and I'm out. I'll even sleep in the truck if I have to. I'll take you. But and then later on, if you want to complain about bills and what money is missing, that's your own business. You could sell the shoes, you could sell the dress. I gonna eat good.
There you go. And Cleon, well, since you do the cooking, I don't even have to ask about.
I obviously do the shopping because, like I said to anybody, my dollar got stretch.
Yes.
I'm going to eat good and I'm going to dress well at the same time. But if my wife go to the grocery, we won't have enough money at the end of the month. Because for her, she's not the person who's going to say, "Oh, it's $2 more." She'll be like, "It's just $2." You know, no, sweetie. You don't do that. When you're shopping, you always ask for a bargain. So everywhere I go to, even though I live in Jamaica and I go to the market, I go with my Jamaican friend, because if I go by myself, I will not be given the right prices. So I usually buy from one person all the time. So even if he's not there, I go there and I will purchase from the one person all the time. Because if you ever try jinxing me, forget the extra $1, you'll never see me again.
Wow.
That's just how I operate. The same thing I did when I lived in Trinidad. When I lived in Grenada, I shopped from one specific vendor. And I'm not changing my accent to for you to sell me, you need to be honest in your dealings. And if you ever try jinxing me, bye-bye. You'll see me go shop at the person next to you.
Okay, even though you are regular.
Yeah, because why you want to rob me?
There you go. There you go. You know, guys, this question of the things in the home stretching, Shell is asking, I mean, I have to go to it for a minute. Shell is saying if the man, because Tyrone asked me the question about the bath, if I would take somebody who don't like to bathe, and I ain't taking somebody who don't like to bathe. But you know, she's saying he could be if the man can be taught. I think Shell making some big joke here tonight. I think
I like the answer she got there about enticing in the bathroom. That's right up my alley. That's a good answer right there.
But she gave the same answer. She said I should entice him.
That's a good answer. Right. That's a strong marriage.
him go fully bathe. He won't half bathe. You fully bathe.
Right then. So Sandra's agreeing with you, Cleon.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just think that, and it's a problem that I've had as a Caribbean national living in different countries, and you go to purchase something, and because of your accent, the person tries to give you a different price. And sometimes you watch them like, you think as an idiot, I just come here? No, I just come here. I know the prices. So I usually simply ask them, that's your best price? Okay, no problem. I don't want that this week. And they'd be like, so you don't want, no, not spending money on that. When
Right.
tomatoes or anything goes up on the market, we don't cook that. We just don't eat that. We just imagine that we had all of that for the 3 months when it was cheap, and you shake it up inside your body and imagine it right there.
Wow, beautiful. All right, guys, we are coming down. We're at our 15th and final question for tonight, and I'm so happy that you came and that you participated. Look, listen, we have fun here every Monday at the Tea House. So if you're here for the first time, I encourage you to like the page, the Georgetown Tea House on Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe there. All right, and click the notification bell. Cleon, when last you gave us a little thing about the Tea House and a little big up on it, the bell, man.
I haven't done a shout out, a plug for the Tea House. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are now joining us, as Marcia rightly said, you're listening to the Georgetown Tea House, your favorite Monday night tea sipping conversation and the spilling of lots of juices. Because, you know, it's a summer, so people probably might not want to drink tea, but Ocean Spur something. Not that they're giving us a plug for it, but remember to click the notification bell and subscribe, and feel free to share the link with your friends so that when next week Monday comes, you're not just here, but they are also part of the sip and chat. It's a Georgetown Tea House.
Thank you so much. You heard it. So here is the 15th and final question.
All right. So this is the 15th and final question. I can't even imagine that we were actually here, right? I was having so much fun.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But this question is to both of you, right? Which one of you would have married the great and wise King Solomon, and why?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
Which one of you would have married the great King Solomon, and why?
Should I go first?
Yeah, anyone.
Yeah,
Which one of us would have married the great King Solomon, and why? I would have married Solomon for so many reasons. First and foremost is wisdom. So I know if I'm in trouble and I ask him for some kind of guidance, he would have given me wise counsel.
Okay.
Because he's the wise King Solomon.
Right.
But of course, marrying to Solomon, I wouldn't be wallowing in poverty. So even though he had wisdom, this man had riches. So I would have been, quote, well off. So at least for those two reasons, I would have married Solomon.
Okay, Eslyn?
I would just for his wisdom, because I figure With his wisdom, let's say there was a downtime we hadn't anything. I mean, through his wisdom, we might have been able to achieve. So yes, his wisdom stands out for me.
Okay. So the multiple women would not have bothered you.
Sorry?
His multiple wives would not have bothered you.
No, not necessarily so. It might have been. It might have been different with me.
Okay. That's an interesting take. Yes, Lady Eslyn, you mentioned that
Yes.
the wives would not have bothered you. That was
No.
interesting response. You said you would have
Girl,
been different. So tell me a little
girl,
more.
I would have uh delivered to Solomon in whatever way possible, whatever was required. Because remember, no, he has the wisdom. He has the thing that
Yes.
I was looking for, the wisdom. Yeah. So I would have gone into the overdrive.
Okay.
You know, he might have been placed in a position where he had to make a choice. You never know.
No, we had asked this question. There was a variation of this question before. So if you've been here before at the tea house, we would have asked this question, right? Yes, we'd have this question. But guys, you heard Lady Eslyn. Who wanted to tackle her? To tackle her response. You heard Eslyn.
That she would have done what was
Just one thing.
necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Then she is being wise.
She want to take Solomon place.
If you are the woman in your relationship with your spouse, you need to do what is necessary. And we would have spoken about that before within the confines of marriage. That will help your relationship to be fruitfully cemented and continuing to function. But with the case of Solomon and the different wives, if you know you had to do X, Y, Z so that he don't even think twice about any of the other ones, then by all means, girl, flick flop, do whatever you want to do.
Okay. Uncle Augie, she said once she had money, you know, I think it was Marcia talk about the money, right? Listen, man, with the money, you're good. You ain't got no headache. You ain't got to worry about a bill to pay and nothing. Anything you want, you have, you know. And your wife, you're one of the wives, so.
Yeah, I mean, anybody will say after the game is over what they would have done if they was the quarterback. So it's easy for a woman to say, okay, well, you know what? Yeah, he got money and he's wise, so I could take from that. But suppose you in the next room and you hearing what you hearing. You gonna tell me you're not gonna feel a waste? That's when reality kicks in. That's when the money ain't gonna matter. The wisdom ain't gonna matter. Because now you're gonna think, well, how is this man really? Yeah, he's wise. He's outsmarting you. Take your pick.
He's outsmarting you, right? Tyrone?
I take it from two different perspectives. One, the Solomon that she's talking about is the man whose heart was turned away from God already. Because the scripture is clear. It said Solomon loved many strange women who turned his heart away from God. So dealing now with a Solomon whose heart was turned away from God.
Okay.
And we know what can happen when somebody's heart is turned away from God. That's another perspective. The other one is Solomon seemed to me like a guy who very often that if you're not up to scratch,
you gotta go. You got to go.
And I would have, yes, you gotta go. I'd have gotten that from his words when he spoke about it is better to live on the roof of a house. And when he described a virtuous woman, so Solomon would have also been looking for his type. Because he mentioned who's a virtuous woman. His mother told him exactly who's a virtuous woman. So he will be looking for his type.
Okay.
And as well as a man whose heart was turned away from God at that particular time when he had 1,000, according to the child, 700 wives and 300 porcupines.
Oh Lord. Instead of concubines. Okay. Porcupines. Okay. Yes. When Lady Eslyn said, she'd be able to, you know, maybe do whatever. I know sometimes as women, sometimes we really are of the opinion that we can actually like be all of us want to like outdo the other then so it's five of us, but I'm gonna be the best by what I do. I'm gonna maybe have no holds bar, and I'm gonna really bend and twist and do whatever. you know and do you think that really it really works? And I mean, you guys, you guys, you got three wives, and I know when you're saying three, you know, one out trying to outdo another. Would that be like something that you'd actually like smile at and necessarily choose her?
We talk about prerequisite. That's not a prerequisite. If that's not a prerequisite, then it would not make a difference.
Right.
And I'm going back a bit. Just remember how many Solomon had, and they all were thinking like you do, of going the extra mile.
Definitely.
So you have 700 women going the extra mile.
I know.
So with all three thinking of going the extra mile too.
Yep. Wow. Anyway,
and that can cause a whole lot of trouble. But it's not in this day and age.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Somebody said one is expensive enough. Much less free.
Wow. What's 1,000? Nancy was asking the question about Lady Eslyn. Lady Eslyn, hit me in the chat and tell us where you were born. I think I know where you grew up, but I wonder where you were born. All right. For Marcia, though, the revelation, guys, she was born in Mocha, but she grew up in Wortmanville. And so we went to primary school together. Yes. This is my primary school friend. We went to primary school together in Durban Street. All right. So Marcia is from Mocha, right? And she grew up in Norton Street, Wortmanville. I grew up in Ben Street, Wortmanville. So yeah. So you see, and Lady Eslyn is I think from Princess Street. So see around the same area. I think it's working Rust. I think she told me. Lady Eslyn, I know you're there, so kindly confirm for me. All right. But guys, you are tuned in to 15 Questions at the Georgetown Tea House, and we had another wonderful evening with you. We are happy that you came and that you put in your 2 cents. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing the live. And we look forward to seeing you again next Monday. All right. And like I said, don't be stingy. Tell a friend or two about the Georgetown Tea House. All right. Tell them tell them that you're here every Monday night, and we want them to come along as well and to share with us. All right. Or she says she's born in Georgetown, grew up in Camberville, presently work in Russ. Okay. All right. So thank you to Lady Eslyn and the marvelous Marcia for being our guest and answering our 15 questions this evening. Thank you, guys. As usual, you always so on point. I know Tyrone was under the guns tonight, but we're so happy that you all came and help us out here tonight. All right. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you all. And don't forget, for the friends and families who's going to be watching after the broadcast would have ended, I didn't forget you. I hope you enjoy, and please continue to share the live for us with your friends and family. All right. So take care and have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Mm.